Imagine you are 2 years old. You are standing in front of a broken vase. You didn't mean to break it, but it's broken now, and someone is walking toward the room. You have about 2 seconds to decide what happens next, and somehow, without anyone ever teaching you how, you already know what to do. You look up, and you say 4 words that will define the rest of your life more than almost anything else you will ever learn. I didn't do it. That sentence is a lie, and it might be one of the most important sentences a human being ever learns to say. Because here's the strange part. Nobody taught you how to lie. There's no class for it. No parent sits their toddler down and explains the mechanics of deception. And yet, almost every single human being on Earth learns to do it, early, easily, and without instruction. So the question is simple: where did this come from? When did the first lie actually happen? Who told it? And why does something that sounds like a moral failure turn out to be one of the biggest leaps your brain ever makes? Let's rewind, not just years, millions of years. Imagine you are not human yet. You are something older, something crouched in the grass, watching 2 other members of your group fight over a piece of fruit. You want that fruit too, but you're smaller, weaker. If you walk toward it directly, you lose. So you do something strange. You turn your body away from the fruit. You look somewhere else entirely, like it doesn't interest you at all. You wait. You let the 2 others wander off, distracted, convinced there's nothing left to compete over. Then you go and take it. Nobody taught you that either. This isn't fiction. Researchers who study primates have documented behavior almost exactly like this in chimpanzees and baboons for decades. It even has a name: tactical deception, one of the largest catalogs of it, compiled by primatologists Andrew Whiten and Richard Byrne, recorded over 200 instances across multiple primate species, animals hiding their intentions, concealing food, misdirecting rivals. So maybe the first lie wasn't human at all. But here's where it gets complicated, and scientists are honest about this complication. They don't all agree. Some researchers argue this is real deception, an animal understanding what another animal believes and deliberately manipulating that belief. Others argue something very different, that this is just clever conditioning. The animal isn't thinking, "I will trick you." It's thinking, "Last time I did this, it worked, so I'll do it again." No mind reading required, just memory and reward. Chimpanzees in captivity have even been documented quietly stockpiling rocks, hiding them in advance, specifically to throw at zoo visitors later, preparing a deception before the moment it's needed, which sounds a lot like planning. But even the researchers who study this most closely admit, we still don't fully know what's happening inside that animal's head when it does this. Is it a lie, or is it something that only looks like one from the outside? That uncertainty isn't a weakness in the story. It's the whole point. Because to answer it, scientists had to stop looking at animals entirely and start watching something much closer to home: 2-year-old humans. Imagine you're a researcher. You bring a child into a small room. You show them an exciting toy, place it behind them, and tell them one simple rule: don't peek. Then you leave the room, and you watch through a hidden camera. This experiment has been run, in different forms, on hundreds of children, and the results are almost the same every time. Most children peek. That part isn't surprising. What's surprising is what happens next. When the researcher comes back and asks, "Did you peek?" a huge number of 2-year-olds already say no. Not because someone taught them to say no, because somewhere in their still-forming brain, something just clicked into place. The understanding that the researcher didn't see what they saw. That 2 people in the same room can know 2 different things, and that this gap between what you know and what someone else knows can be used. That single realization is called theory of mind, and it might be the actual birthplace of the lie. Here's the number that surprises most people. In studies led by developmental psychologists Kang Lee and Angela Evans, about 1 in 4 two-year-olds lied. By age 3, it climbed to roughly half. By age 4, it was around 4 out of 5 children. In other words, lying isn't something children slowly learn to stop doing as they grow more mature. It's something they gradually learn how to start doing as their brain becomes capable of it. And that flips the entire story on its head. For decades, a lying child was treated as a child doing something wrong, a discipline problem, a character flaw waiting to be corrected. But developmental psychologists found something almost nobody expected. The children who lied earliest and lied best weren't the ones with worse self-control or weaker morals. They were, on average, the ones with stronger cognitive skills, better working memory, better inhibitory control, the ability to hold back the truthful answer and swap in a false one instead, better executive planning, thinking one step ahead to what someone else might ask next. A convincing lie is not a simple sentence. It requires holding two realities in your head at once: what actually happened and what you want the other person to believe happened, without letting them collide. That is, quietly, one of the more sophisticated things a young brain can do. Which means the moment your 2-year-old self looked up and said, "I didn't do it," your brain wasn't failing at honesty, it was succeeding at something enormously complex, for the first time. So if lying is this early, this universal, and this cognitively demanding, why does it exist at all? What is it actually for? This is where the story stops being about individual children and becomes something bigger, something evolutionary. Living in a group, whether you're an early hominid competing for food or a modern human competing for a job, means you are constantly surrounded by other minds, minds that don't automatically know what you know, minds you sometimes need to influence. Some evolutionary psychologists argue that this exact pressure, living in large, complex social groups where deception could pay off, helped drive the growth of larger, more socially sophisticated brains across primates, humans included. It's sometimes called the Machiavellian intelligence hypothesis. It's an influential idea, not a settled fact, but it fits strangely well with what we just saw in that toddler experiment, because theory of mind isn't only used for lying, it's the exact same tool you use for empathy, for storytelling, for predicting what a friend needs before they ask, for understanding a character in a movie, or guessing what someone else is thinking during an argument. Lying and understanding other people appear to run on the same engine, which means the moment you first learned to deceive someone may have been the same moment you first learned to truly understand them. So, did chimpanzees hiding fruit tell the first lie? Did some early hominid, millions of years ago, learn to fake a limp to get out of dangerous work? We don't have a fossil for the first lie. There's no artifact you can put behind museum glass. But there is a 2-year-old, somewhere on Earth, right now, standing near something they weren't supposed to touch, about to become the latest human in a chain of deception that may stretch back far deeper into evolutionary time than anyone ever expected. Not a flaw in the system, the first sign the system is working. So here's a question worth sitting with. The next time you catch yourself, or your own child, bending the truth just slightly, are you watching a failure of honesty? Or are you watching one of the oldest, strangest signs of intelligence our species ever developed?